I'm not doing this by now, then I'm a complete failure. And that's just, it's not true. And I think there's a lot of musicians that if you take their gig away from them, or if you take their gift away tomorrow, they don't know who they are and they go through an identity crisis. You're pointing back to your gift when the Father only points back to you as his son. I want to inspire others to not just be a one-trick pony. I know that sounds funny, but that's what my dad used to say. Like, don't be a one-trick pony. Don't just do one thing, but like, God gives you other talents, and it's up to us to steward that.
From touring to playing drums to gigs, church music, covers, albums, and all that stuff, and even videography. These are all different areas that you find it very difficult to find someone that excels in all of them, and so that makes you an exception. And I just really want to know, like, what are the systems or mindset that allow you to sustain that level of excellence without burning out?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is
we found one of your very monumental moments.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you described this as a game-changing moment. It was the Spectrum Center in 2019.
Man, first off, you do your research, brother. You do your research. You just threw me
Thank
back
you, brother.
6 years. What?
Actually, because I just really want to know as well. Like, walk me through that night. What changed?
I think that was a game-changer moment for me because I think it was the Lord's reminder that he didn't forget about me.
What an interview.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, bro. Thank you. There are more people that are winning in life because they are consistent in the thing that they're building.
If this was the last piece of advice that you were going to give to a young creative that is inspired by your journey, what would that advice be?
I think the advice would be...
Wow. Yeah. Okay. It's all right, bro.
No, you're good, bro. This is blessing me as much as it is you, brother. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Dahveed, and thank you so much for watching this episode of Shared with Dahveed. Shared with Dahveed is split into 3 sections. We've got the interview, the shared, and the giveaway. The interview is what you're about to watch now, which is basically the guest and I having a conversation. The shared is where the guest and I do music together, and the giveaway is the section where we give back to the community. And the question for that is always taken from the interview, so you might want to pay attention to this interview. And yeah, with all that being said, I'll leave you guys to enjoy this video. Thank you once again for tuning in, and remember, Jesus loves you. Yes. Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Shared with Dahveed. And very quickly, I want to read this monologue to you guys. There is a version of success that people celebrate loudly, stages, albums, the opportunities, but then there's a quieter version of that rarely gets the applause. The years of showing up with no response, the discipline that feels invincible, the consistency that costs you your emotions just before it starts to reward you publicly. Today's guest understands that version deeply. He's a drummer, creative director, producer, but more than that, he's someone who has built a life around consistency and creative integrity. From daily room covers to arenas and live recordings, from drums to directing visuals for some of the biggest names in the gospel music scene, his journey isn't just loud, it is very, very intentional. Ladies and gentlemen, gentle boys and gentle girls, on this episode of Shared with Dahveed, welcome with me, Tony Lambright.
Let's go. We here, man. Let's go.
How are you doing, my bro? Oh my days, this is crazy.
No, bro, I'm honored to be a part, man. Come on. I'm literally honored. What?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, brother.
Absolutely, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let's just dive right into it.
Okay.
As I said with the introduction, right? Like, one of the major things about your journey has been the consistency, even when people didn't really see it, right? And obviously, there must have definitely been a season where you questioned whether your discipline was worth it. Not because you lacked the talent, but because the result just wasn't matching the effort. Like, what was your motivation through that season?
Yeah, I think my motivation, my pastor told me this story one time. His favorite Bible character is David. And one thing that we skip around sometimes, I think with us just reading a page in the Bible or whatever, we kind of miss like the essence of really what time is, right? So back then when we talk about like when David got anointed, right? He got anointed by Samuel, poured oil when he was a teenager, right? So you would think, okay, I'm about to be king. I just got anointed. Nope, that didn't happen. Okay, wait, now I gotta spend a season. I gotta go back to the sheep and serve. Okay, wait, now I gotta go to war to help serve my brothers, bring them some Uber Eats or what we would call it. And okay, oh by the way, we got this Goliath that's talking mess. So then I'm gonna throw a sling and I'm gonna take him out. This is my moment where I'm supposed to be like. This is my moment. I'm gonna be king. No, he went back to serve, and then he ended up becoming a musician for Saul. And then while Saul was going through his season of being tormented, literally, and you would think, okay, at this point, I'm about to be. Nope, not even then. Then he goes to become a warrior in Saul's army, and then now he goes, kills it at the highest level, excellence, everything, to where now they're chanting, Saul's killed thousands, David's killed 10,000s, and you would think that would be the moment. But no, then he gets run out, so now he's now a fugitive. They're trying to assassinate him. So I say all that says he went through this whole journey, right? That was, I believe it was, and don't quote me on this, I believe the journey from him, from the moment he got anointed to when he became king, was about 30 to 40 years, right? And so once I had that context of like that story, I think that honestly brought some peace and resolve in my life, because it's so easy in this culture, right? It's so easy in 2026 to be like, you know what? I'm gonna be an overnight success. I'm gonna, make this video overnight, and I'm gonna go viral, and I show speed, and then now I'm doing tours around Africa. Like that happens to certain people, but that's not the reality of a lot of people. And I think many people discount the journey of like, there were so many lessons that David learned in that season of being a servant, of being a musician, of being a warrior, from being an outcast to then finally be king. There's so many lessons that compounded over time, interest over time, to where that would actually developed him to be able to be king. Because I don't believe that he would have been king had he missed any of those steps. I don't believe he would have missed it if he was just a servant boy. I don't think his character may have been feeling good. Okay, cool, I'm a king, and then he probably would have forgot who put him in king in the first place. You know what I mean? So like, there's so many steps in his journey of David that we oftentimes miss. We just read from the promise to we just read from the moment it happened to the promise, and boom, he was king. It was like, no, there was a journey that took place. There was a lot of inward things happening in his heart. Even when he could have killed Saul, when he was out on the run, he had every right to do so. He said, no, I will not touch. The hand of God is on Saul, and I'm not going to touch him. You know what I mean? Like, so even that, man, there's so many lessons that David learned that prepared him for that moment to be king. And I think the same for me. Honestly, it was like, once I understood that story, I applied it in my life, to where I know everything about my story has been so odd, has been so untraditional by a lot of different people. And I'm just simply trusting that what God has for me is going to be in perfect timing. And that when it happens, I'm going to be able to walk in it with ease. I'm not going to have to try to conjure up this thing or pretend to be this person that I'm not, to try to sustain a lifestyle that I was never supposed to sustain because I was out of season. And I think that's a lot of times that my pastor will always talk about, just learning to be in season and out of season, and understanding that. So that's honestly my truth, and how I've been able to be okay with. There's a lot of seasons where I was, just out of high school trying to figure out, man, I see what God's telling me to do, but like, okay, cool, God, you're going to send me all the way to a city in Columbia, South Carolina, where there's no type of music scene. It's not like a LA or Atlanta or New York, where they're known for music scenes, and there's different guys in the culture, and there's different giants, if you want to call them, that's in our industry that that you can connect with and get tapped in. But that wasn't the case for me. I literally went to a small town in Columbia, South Carolina, and I feel like that's where I was able to gain my roots in my Christianity, in my spiritual walk with the Lord, and even in my gifts and talents with the people that were placed around me, that were pivotal people in my life. Had I missed, if I tried to just, again, even though God told me one thing, if I try to force myself to, or maybe if I just do this, or maybe if I do that, like, so I think that, to answer your question, that is how I've honestly sustained in this season of like, I feel like now I'm just starting to taste the things that the Lord has been showing me all these years. And I think it's because of the diligence of learning what it means to serve in those seasons and to honor those seasons as well, and not discount those seasons. Like, don't discount the season of you know what, maybe things are not looking the way that God, gave you that vision. Maybe he's requiring something of you to serve in the season, or to learn a different gifting. Like, I literally, by all accounts, in my mind, I would have been touring around the world by now. But now, because of my journey, in the sense of touring to be a drummer or a musician, right? The Lord gave me so many roots and allowed me to have different mentors, where I was able to pick up a whole different gift in videography and marketing and all these different things, to where now those are now conduits for me to now travel and do the very thing that the Lord called me to. And I would have never known that had I not embraced the season of what it was, of like, okay, you know what, Lord, I'm gonna go back and serving sheep. You know what, Lord, I'm gonna go back and protect Saul. You know what, Lord, I'm gonna go ahead and just be a musician. You know what, Lord, I'm gonna be running away from. I'm gonna be an outcast, but like embracing that season for what it is because He's preparing you for your next, and that's my truth, man. Yeah. Hopefully, I wasn't too long winded. I'm sorry. I just.
Oh my God, nah, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things you said in there, especially with the story of David, right?
Yeah.
I think oftentimes we miss out on the process and the character that we are supposed to develop
Yes.
in each of these seasons of our lives.
Yes.
Really, right? As you said with David, getting anointed and having to go back. It's like, yeah, but why is this? Why is this? It seems like why is this anointing not just working
Yes,
right? Like,
exactly.
What's going? Is it a different oil? Did you use the wrong oil
Yes,
on me?
you get
know
it.
what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
But all of
Absolutely.
that, but he stayed true to his calling, stayed through the season, obedient through all of that,
Yes.
and that's what developed, all of the character inside of him, the wisdom that he needed, even for when he became king and all
So
of
good.
that stuff. So yes, sir. I mean, it's quite evident right now that your roots was really planted in very strong core values that's helped you to keep scaling to where you are right now.
Sir.
But then I understand there, like at that age and time, like young and having to go through all that stuff, there must have been statements or stuffs that you believed about yourself that were lies, right? I mean, obviously, that you had to unlearn about yourself. So like I really want to know what lies did you have to unlearn about yourself for your life to expand.
That's so good. I think that I think some of the lies that may have like been hindrances for me or like kind of just battles within the season I was like just inaccuracy, like it just not being enough, right? Like not being like, okay, maybe I'm not enough for this, maybe I'm not worth this gig. And even I'll even give you like I think a lot of times too, I was putting my gift in who I am as a person, right? And so like equating my
Yes.
gift as value, I was like, well, if I'm not playing drums by this point in my life, if I'm not doing this, then I'm a failure. And that's just not true. There's so much things that God was doing in my heart. And the reality is that the Lord looks to us as a son, as a daughter. He doesn't look to us as, okay, he's just a dude that I gave that plays drums really well. He doesn't care about that. He cares first off about us as a person. And I think a lot of times there was things that I was saying to myself were like, well, I'm not getting these gigs by now, so I'm not good enough. And it's like, well, no, that's not true. You know what I mean? Like, no, like there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes, even in my heart and the things around me that are preparing me to be able to have those things. And so like a lot of times, like I would just put my value in my gift and put it into like, well, if I'm not reaching by this, you know what I mean? We've all seen, of course, Tony Worship Jr., he's amazing, but I think we all like, man, he was, a child prodigy by 12. He was on his first tour by 15. Like, if I'm not doing this by now, then I'm a complete failure. And that's just, it's not true. And I think there's a lot of musicians that if you take their gig away from them, or if you take their gift away tomorrow, they don't know who they are and they go through an identity crisis. And that is also things that you would tell yourself, like, well, I'm not good enough. I will never be this. I will never because I failed at this, because you're pointing back to your gift when the Father only points back to you as his son. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a good father. Like, he's not, like, my dad is not looking to have anything else from, like, he's not expecting me to be anything but his son and show up in that way. And he's not proud of me because of all the accolades I'm doing. He's just proud of me because I'm his son. You know what I mean? Like, he's not like, I'm not working to like conjure up and working up to be like, oh, if I hit these milestones, then I'll be a good dad. Like, no, like a good father, like, loves his son, like, unconditionally, and there's no attachment, there's no things. And I feel like early on in my life, I was like pointing towards those things of like pointing back to my gift, pointing it back to what I can do for others instead of what I am as a person, who God's called me to be. And I feel like the leaders in my life, I'm grateful for them because they were able to identify that in me and call that out of me, and even challenge me to be like, you know what, Tony, why don't you go pick up a camera? Why don't you do this? And like, little did I know that would be like an on ramp for a whole nother venture that I'm building even now. And a lot of people probably wouldn't get past that just because of their pride or their ego. Like, no, I'm just a drummer. I don't need to be picking up camera. Why am I doing that? I'm good at right where I am. And I think, that early on, those were a lot of moments that I had to kind of uproot out of my life too. Of just like, no, man, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with just, You know, if I'm on another gig and I'm just holding the camera, like I'm totally okay with like cheering on whoever's playing drums because that's what I do. I'm not like secretly envying them because it should have been me that got called for this gig or whatever. And of course you fight with those emotions. I mean, we're all human, so we all have moments like that. But I think early on for me, that was like a big thing for me of like not identifying who I am in my gift, but rather as a child of God, as a son first. And yeah, and I feel like those are things I would tell myself in life, kind of from that point of view. Yeah.
Wow. Bro, one thing I really picked from that is, I don't know, you didn't say it explicitly, but I think you have a heart of service.
Yes.
I think that's one thing that has stayed consistent in just these two questions that I've been able to ask.
Yes.
I think I can really see the heart of service in it, really. And the fact that, you know, you've got that spiritual like covering over you with your pastors and all that, and you listen to them and, you know, take instructions for seasons in your life, which is very important, really. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. No, these are great questions. You're making me think for real.
But yeah, if you could go back to the time where, you know, all you had really was just playing drums and posting consistently with no validation, what truth would you tell yourself that would have potentially saved you some time, some months, or maybe even years?
That's good. I mean, kind of when I look back at that season, to be honest with you, I don't think there's anything I would change or would tell myself because I am a product of that consistency. I'm a product of showing up. I think a lot of times there are more people that are winning in life because they are consistent in the thing that they're building, less of a skill or gifting, or rather there's less people that showing up than there are people that are just talented and gifted. It's one thing to be gifted, but for you to show up when no one sees you, I honestly was building my stuff just for sheer fun. I was having fun. I was no agenda or anything. I honestly started my Instagram as a way to just connect with people that I looked up to, that were like, I was a fan of their work, and just to connect. And that was it. It was never like I'm just trying to get the gig or whatever. It's like, no, I'm not even. But even in that though, like I don't despise those seasons, and I cherish them. Like it was the other day, I was watching like some old videos, and I was like, man, this was a really good video. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh no, this was really terrible. This was a very terrible.
You were really.
Yeah, there's some was like, oh, I'm like, I haven't done that chomp in a minute. But then there's other ones that were like, ooh, let's unlist that video. But it's all like, I'm grateful for the whole journey, and I don't think I would tell myself anything different because I am a product of those years of consistency, of showing up when no one was looking, when no one was peeping, when no one was asking, when I wasn't getting the gigs, when I didn't have the connects. And I think the Lord built so much character in me and just taught me the value of just of sustaining and thinking long term. And again, back to what we talked about earlier, it's just we live in a culture where it's got to be now. It's got to be now. If it's not now, then it's where I'm. It's like, no, there is a joy. And there's value, there's a wealth, there's a river that's built in the long term, that's in the season. I mean, like I said, there's countless people in the Bible that talks about their journey of like, again, Jesus didn't start performing miracles till the 30th, 31st birthday. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't Jesus. Yeah, he was still Jesus, but it took him 30 plus years for him to actually start walking in the promise that people prophesied in the books prior. And so I think it's just, man, I wouldn't tell myself anything different. I'm honestly grateful for every bit of the journey because it shaped me into who I'm becoming today. So.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Of course, man.
And then were there moments in that season where consistency felt more like, I just want to put this out there, and less of like the faith? Because obviously I get that you're speaking right now from, you know, a lens of growth over time, really. Like you are seeing this from hindsight, right? So you're looking back at this and seeing that. But in that time, I don't know if you can probably just go back to that period of time in your life where, you know, you were constant. But I just really want to know, was it more of like, I've just set this goal for myself and I just want to keep posting, or it was just more of like faith, really?
I think maybe just faith. I think less of just like, I think just putting my trust in God. honestly, and just putting it into like, you know what, Lord, I'm I'm not gonna. I'll say this. I think the Lord brought me through that season and through those times where it didn't look like anything was going to happen. It didn't look like the promise that I'm walking in. I think the Lord intentionally did that to whereas anytime now that I'm in these rooms or I'm just now getting invited to these rooms and allowing to be in these spaces and travel and do this the albums and projects I am, I think it always is a constant reminder that this was not by my own will and not by my own doing. I think everything about my journey, and I think early on was just like, yeah, I would just put my faith in him of like, Lord, I trust you in this. I trust you in, I'll keep showing up, making these videos. I trust you in the pandemic season where we didn't know what was life going to be. And I'll trust you to just hold the camera, even though you've shown me I would be doing arenas and stadiums. You've shown me that I was going to be a leader in this space and that I was going to be someone that will be, I guess, the current of change to do things different and how I live my life. But yeah, I think honestly, it was just faith and like, all right, Lord, like it may not be today or tomorrow, but I'm just going to trust you to show up in this way and be consistent, not only for myself, but the people around me. And I think now in those spaces, I always know there's never a time where I'm like, of course I'll take this moments where you like, man, you're proud of your work and you take pride in certain things. Like, man, we did a great job. We produced this, but like, there's none of like, no, I'm not even here without the Lord. Honestly, I'm not here because I remember where he got me from. I remember, what I mean, the nights where I was trying to figure out where I was going to lay my head or where I was going to, if drums was even going to still be a thing for me. Should I just go, complete this college degree and just, work in business and that's it? Like plenty of times, plenty of doubt, even when I like, or even doubt in when I did drop out of college and like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna just follow the vision of this church and what we're doing. Plenty of times, like, man, should I even have dropped out? Like, what, like maybe I should have just stuck it out and I would have been much secure and safe. But like, it was all just faith moves, man. Like every bit of it was truly faith. And I think now the Lord, I'm never having a doubt with that. This was all me. I did this. I'm the one that. Nah, man. That's why I have to point back to him because there was nothing in my routine that was like I knew this was going to happen. Of course, I had faith, but like not the way everything's playing out today. I had no idea this would be the journey that I'll be walking in. So hopefully that answered your question. I know we were digging in a little deep, but
yes, sir. It does, and what you answered sort of like brought me back to something I saw earlier in the week about I was just listening. It was a clip on Instagram about so this pastor was talking about how increase comes when you are you've gotten to the point in yourself where you feel enough. You are enough. You understand that what God has given to you is enough. Right now in the congregation of 2 people, it's enough. Like you've been called to serve these people and that is enough for you. That's the only time the increase comes because God understands now that your heart is not in the number, is not in the loads of people there. You are able to serve if it's 2 or 2,000 or 200 people. Is the heart is the same really. So just to buttress your points, really.
Really great. Really great.
And yes, sir, a lot of creatives confuse being busy with being intentional, right? And that's because we live in a world that things are just very saturated. You go on Instagram today, so many dramas, and it's crazy because everyone is also just chopping. So it's like, yeah, bro, you get very saturated.
Yeah.
And I just want to know, like, how did you learn to stay disciplined with your calling, your gift, without losing yourself in all of the noise?
Great question. I think I was able to find my niche, and I think that helped me build consistency. To your point, there are amazing drummers out here. There are so many guys that can outplay me without a doubt, and I'm personally fans of. We can name a list all day long of our favorite drummers and guys that are coming up. And I think for me, what helped build consistency more recently, honestly, in the last year or two, was just finding my niche and realizing that, with this skill that I picked up with videography, with marketing, with all these skills that I was using at the time for another church, I was like, okay, cool. This is the gap because there's not a lot of drummers that are able to play at the level that I am, but also have the ability to market and create content that matches that same excellence and standard. It's usually one or the other. And it's kind of rare to find both.
Yeah.
And once I understood that, I was like, oh, this is where I'm gonna be consistent at. Like, if it's me flipping out a storage unit and using, professional lights and cameras, and it's all the same cameras that I would use for other shoots that would be non-music related, but I know how to work all this stuff. Like, why not lean into this and kind of make a lane for myself? And, and I think that's, once I found that niche, I was able to kind of build consistency off of that. Cause then it was like, oh, okay, how can I develop stuff within this bracket? And how can I be able to collaborate both worlds that I'm in into a space where I'm able to stand out amongst the others. Yeah. So that's kind of how I approached it. Once I kind of found that niche early on, and before, like in the earliest, it was just kind of building consistency. I always had like a desire to edit and make my own content and shoot video. I just didn't have the resources available. And once I was able to be under a good cover in a good house that provide those resources and lessons and whatnot, and then I was able to just figure out that niche. And now I was like, oh, and again, it's all, most people are like, man, how do you do this stuff? But I have it so, I work on content and marketing, all this stuff all the time. So I have everything so dialed in, and it's just like clockwork. It don't take me long. But it's just stuff I've been, again, lessons and stuff that I've been learning over the years that helped me to get to this point to where I don't have to hire an editor or a videographer or a shoot to do I just show up with my camera. I know how I've just done it multiple times. So I think that's, to answer your question, that's how I built kind of consistency. I would say in the last couple of years, was just like I understood my niche and where I could shine, and I've been able to just lock in on that, man. Yeah.
Sure. That's very important as well, because I don't know if you noticed with the question I asked, it was like, how did you like to stay disciplined and not lose yourself in the noise, really? And noise for you would be trying to do what someone else is doing.
Exactly.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Oh, it's so easy.
So what the other person is doing is they're locking into their vision, to their niche, to their goals. But for you, looking at someone else's stuff and trying to recreate that, that would be noise for you.
Exactly. Everyone has their own lane, man. And I think there's a lot more people trying to, again, I think there is definitely, like for me, even early on, like that's how I learned, how to be a better drummer and gain my skills. There was times where Tony Worship used to have his signature DVDs, and I would learn those stuff lick for lick. But I didn't learn it, chop for chop, lick for lick, just so I can copy his feels. But then I was like, how can I make this my own? How can I apply this into my playing style and the environments that I'm in too? And so I think there is a piece of there is a form of you can definitely imitate someone, learn from their style. But I think it gets to the point where it's like, what are you doing to incorporate into your own? And I think, to your point, I think once you figure out your niche and who you are, then just be that, instead of following other people they're already in their niche. Like CJ Thompson has the lane, like we all know that lane. He's super intentional about bringing triggers and patterns and be able to play these records and have his own different style on them. You know what I mean? There's so many guys, if it's a JR Nelson, who has like a ability to literally bring music to life, because he's also a worship leader. So he has this aspect of able to bring the drum to life, to actually sing with the song, if that makes sense. So there's so many niches, but like if I get too caught up in trying to be like JR, I'll never establish who I am as a drummer and musician. And that's kind of like, there was a record we recorded a couple of weeks ago where we were both featured as drummers on the same recording, and that was just one of the things of like, there's certain moments like we would pick songs of like, no, Jared, this is more you, like, and he would pick songs like, no, and the Tony, this is actually more you, because you're leaning into more of this trap style in this area and this, that, and third. So I think, there's a form of like learning from others, but I think it gets to a point to where it's like, okay, so how are you actually applying this to yourself? Like, how are you actually, to your point, separating yourself to where I know this is Tony. Like when I click this video, I can look and see that I know this is Tony. And I can look, you know what I mean? And I'm not looking like, oh, this sounds like CJ Thompson, or this sounds like JR, or this sounds like Sticks Taylor, or this sounds like Lacey, or you know what I mean? Like, no, like this actually, he has an identity and a sound and a look and feel. He has a brand. And I think to like I said, just wanted to kind of encourage the people that are watching. Like, I think definitely like learn from your peers, learn their stuff, like have it down pat, but then like learn and apply it to your own craft and to your own work.
To yourself.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
No, this is good, brother. This is
yes,
great.
Sir. You talked about moments earlier on, and from research we found one of your very monumental moments,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you describe this as a game changing moment. To be honest, I think that's really what caught my eye. And I mean, I would really love for you to talk about it. It was the Spectrum Center
Yes.
in 2019.
Man, first off, you do
Walk
your
me
research,
through.
brother. You do your research. The fact you found this, hold on. You just threw me back
Thank you, brother.
6 years or 7. What? Bro, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was like, oh my gosh, that is, oh man. I was just clowning with someone about the other day. That's hilarious.
Nah, bro, that's actually, because I just really want to know as well. Like, walk me through that night. What changed? Why was it termed like a game changing moment for you?
So to give context of the story, so 2019, I'm a year into living in Columbia, South Carolina, and at the time, during the summer, Kyrie Tyler, who's a good friend of mine, you guys may have known him. He is one of the pillars in our space, a talented musical director. He's worked with Beyonce, Khalid, Jay-Z. Yeah. I mean, he's done the biggest. He's on Adam. If you know Adam Blackstone, he sits right there with Omar Edwards, sits right there with Kyrie. Like, Kyrie's right on that list, so he's amazing, and he's been a good friend of mine, a good mentor, I would call it, for many years. And so we've just been following each other for about a year now, because the year prior he did this challenge called the On the Way Challenge, and he was working with Khalid at the time, and he created this challenge. Some of y'all may have known this one. This is an OG. I'll bring y'all back.
Yeah, sir. We do.
And so we connected from there. I did the challenge, and it did. That was kind of like my first mini viral moment, and that kind of went crazy. And he followed me. We connected from there. And during the summer of 2019, leading up to this Spectrum moment, he's on tour with Khalid, and he's actually going live during the shows, which is kind of unheard of in our space. I think now in 2026, everyone's kind of being more, I guess musicians are having more abilities to record themselves, put that content from their shows, because it's also a thing, like, people have to sign NDAs with different artists that they work with, so there's different legal stuff. And so this was one of the rare times where we got to hear and see in real time Kyrie on the show playing with Khalid from Chicago, from LA, from, like, he has his iRig set up and his iPhone, and we're hearing cues and clicks and the whole thing. So I'm like, oh my God, I have to screen record this right now. And so I would screen record his lives. Anytime he would go live, I have my notification set up. The moment I see Kyrie's going live, I know he's on the show, and I'm screen recording to catch the moment. Because it's like, outside that, we have just YouTube moments of, girls screaming. So you can't really hear all the nuances of what's going on in the music. And so that summer, I took one of those songs I screen recorded, and it was called Right Back. I believe that was the name of the song. And I'll send you the clip to the V if you want to use this as some B-roll or whatever. But
yes, sir, definitely B-roll.
I'll send it to you. You bring all the history out. But literally, I screen recorded that piece, and I literally made a video of me playing that song with Kyrie's piece on there. And I tagged them in there. I tagged Clemens, and I tagged the whole crew, man. They were like, oh my God, this is insane. And literally, I want to say like a couple weeks later, they hit me up, was like, yo, bro, you should come to the show. We're having a show that's near your city. And I was like, oh my, absolutely. And so, usually, and again, that's also just favor of the Lord, because normally we get to shows, people are very particular on who they bring to shows and who they give out tickets to and comps and stuff like that. And it's really relational based. And I think that's just favor when there's stuff of just my brand and my platform, even at that time in the early stages of, like, the Lord allow me to connect with a Kyrie Tyler on that level, or a Clarence Poindexter on that level, to even be invited into their space, which I don't take for granted at all. And so, like I said, I got the invite. They asked me to come up, and they asked me to come during sound check. And I was like, oh, absolutely, we'll come through sound check. They picked us up, and something told me that day, which was in the Holy Spirit, maybe. I never do this. I kind of feel like, I don't know if y'all ever seen the meme of that football player in the stadium, and he's wearing a full, like in the bleachers, but he's wearing a full out helmet and stuff. It's kind of like, wait to just let me get around and coach, let me jump in, like let me play a chord, like kind of like that. That's how I felt because I packed my in-ears. I had a fanny pack and I packed my in-ears for whatever reason. I was like, let me just throw my in-ears in here. No reason at all. Literally brought him in. We go in the sound check. Kyrie daps me up. He's like, bro, so good to see you. Finally meet you. He was like, hey, you got your in-ears or something? And I was like, yeah, I actually do. He's like, I want you to get on the kit right quick. We're going to run through right back right quick. I want to see if you actually know this, or you just Instagram, you just clip this, or you just tried to Instagram. I know y'all see some of the videos like people like pretend they're playing, but they use the audio from someone else. Then he was like, no, we got to see this for real. And I was first like losing my mind internally, but also like, don't mess up. And literally, I'm sitting on the kit. Clemens in real time, like we're about to run it. Like I just got on the kit. He's like, hey, this pad's for snaps, this pad's for claps. This kick right here, this sub kick, this is the electronic kick. This is what you need to do for these verses. Like he's just telling me, and then boom, here to click right back 2, 3, 4. And we did that song. I don't want to say I blacked out, but looked up and it was 10 minutes later and we were running through 3-4 songs. Like that's how much I studied their stuff. Like I ended up running a portion of their whole set up until I was like, hey, Clems, I actually don't know this song. Like I'm just guessing. And so I would say that was a pivotal moment because back to me being in a foreign place, right? Like back to being somewhere where this doesn't make sense. Even if you want to talk about Joseph, he was back home where he was loved and then his brother sold him to slavery. Now he's in a foreign place and like, Lord, you told me that I was, my brothers were going to bow to me. You gave me this vision that where I was going to be at in life and who I was going to be leading and the type of leader who I was and all these different things. And now I'm in a foreign land where I don't know where I'm at. And I feel like that was my season in South Carolina, where it's like, okay, Lord, you told me I was going to do the stage, but I don't know what this looks like. And so here I am in a foreign land, quote unquote, and now I get the call of a lifetime to just come and hang with these guys that I love, that I'm fans of, that we're building a relationship, and now they trust me enough to do a sound check. And they were blown away. Like so much so management, the people around them were like, we thought Clemens was playing drums while I was playing. That's how well I learned his parts. Because I was a fan. I was learning, and I literally put that video out. And so I think that was a game changer moment for me because I think it was the Lord's reminder that he didn't forget about me. That in the midst of like where the season I'm in my life, even though that I'm in a place where it seems like I've been forgotten about. I'm not in a place like I talked about earlier. I'm not in LA, not in New York, not in Atlanta, not in these hub cities where music is thriving and that there's place for me to grow. Like I didn't have that. I was just literally going to school, found out about this church, and that's all I had. And the fact that the Lord saw me enough in that moment to say, hey, bro, go up to Charlotte and show these boys what you've been learning, has been a pivotal moment for me. And even to this day, like I'm grateful to even have relationships with those guys, even with Kyrie. I was just talking with him the other day and he's always showing me flowers. He has this group that he has, a school community, and he's always showing love to me and was like, hey, man, this guy's next. Like he's doing it for real and providing opportunities for me. And so, yeah, man, I'm grateful. I think that was a big moment for me because there was truly the Lord was like, I didn't forget about you. Stay faithful, stay consistent. And yeah, man, it's one of those things. It's like, imagine like you're literally in your dreams playing in this arena, and it's like, oh my, it was just insane. It was one of those moments I probably will never forget. I'll tell my kids and my grandkids because it was just the Lord just smiling that day, man. And it's, yeah, definitely a pivotal moment. So hopefully that answers your question. But that's the story. But yeah, man, that was a
oh my God,
crazy moment.
Literally, bro, literally almost brought tears to my eyes. I'm not even gonna lie, bro.
Wow.
Bro, that was such an emotional story, bro.
Wow.
And one thing I really, really picked from what you said is the fact that, I mean, you didn't say this outrightly again. I don't know. It's just me picking stuff from in between.
Yeah.
I feel like there's an obsession with your assignment that you have, bro.
Yeah.
I think there is something like that about you, because as much as God allowed the opportunity to come through for you, you were prepared, bro. Like she literally said you were screen recording every live session, listening to it. You were playing the set, and the management thought it was Clemens playing it.
Yep.
That's God's duty was to make that happen.
Yes,
like
sir.
For you to be in that position to meet those people.
Yes.
But God, He wasn't gonna play the drums for you, bro.
No.
Like you did that.
I had to
like
show
that was the years of the moments of preparation,
Exactly.
obsession with your assignment, bro. And it's crazy for for you to put in all that work and finally just have a moment where it's like, then the last statement, God, it was just God telling me He hasn't forgotten about me, bro. Yes. Oh my God, guys! I, to be honest, I feel like the interview can literally end here right now, bro. Like, keep going, bro. Like, Jenny, I don't know, but you're watching this right now, bro. Just keep going.
Yes.
Just keep going. Just
Please.
keep doing it. Like, this is literally Tony's story right here. Bro, thank you so much for sharing that. Of course, brother.
Thank you,
Thank you so much for sharing that,
Thank you so much,
Oh, my God. And I was like, bro, what has been the most inspiring moment of your career so far? I feel like you already answered this question.
Yeah. Inspiring moment so far?
Yeah. Yeah.
Inspiring moment. I think for me, I'll never forget this interaction. I was in Zambia a couple years ago, and I just released. I was doing. I started doing these things. I may bring them back. But I was doing these Super Bowl halftime shows. So I did one with Rihanna, which was insane. It literally hit 1 million views. I want to say 2 years. Was it last year or 2 years ago? I have literally a placard up there. And I did Usher as well. And I'll never forget because I just did Usher's, which was that was 2 years ago. I did Usher's, and I basically did it to where it was 2-3 weeks after the actual Super Bowl itself. So I posted like March 1st or whatever. We ended up doing a tour out in Africa for like 2-3 weeks. We ended up going to Zambia, and I think the most inspiring moment was meeting some of the guys there. First off, that they even knew who I was, which I'm serious. I don't think anything about numbers or analytics or anything. I'm just posting stuff. I'm just being me. And the fact that there are people that are literally, it takes 2 flights across the world to get to literally Zambia. And the fact that there are guys that's coming to me, musicians that saying they look up to me. And what blew me away most about that was like, they're like, bro, we just saw your Usher video and we just can't stop watching it. And it's the same video I just posted not even a week ago, like a week or two ago. And they're telling me like specific moments from the, like not an IG clip, like they're telling me moments from each song that they know, the full thing on, like, and that was probably the most inspiring moment for me because it's something about it, man. Like it literally takes 2 flights across the world to get to Zambia, and the fact that there are people that are so locked in what I do, that they are talking about a video I just dropped. It was honestly insane. That's kind of a moment that lives with me. Not just because I'm not putting pride or in myself or who I am, but just like the fact that the Lord trusts me enough to even bring what I'm doing to the other side of the world. He doesn't have to do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's so many talented guys that can outplay me, outcircle me, that has better gigs or whatever. But the fact that they saw enough to watch my videos and to compliment my work all the way in Zambia, I mean, that was probably definitely encouragement to even keep going, man, and don't quit. That there are people around the world, there's people in your communities that are looking to you that I would have never known. I'm just, I'm always a head down first guy, on to the next thing. I'm never really, smelling the flowers. I guess that's like the analogy, like taking time to smell your flowers. Yeah. And I'm always just on to the next one and working. That's kind of how the mentors, my dad raised me. I'm always just head first, stay humble, stay low. And so to have that interaction with those guys, man, game changer for sure. The fact that I'm even trusted enough that the Lord trusts what I'm doing, trusts my heart enough to be out there in the world, to have impact over on that side of the world means everything. So I was just thinking about, I was taking back, I was trying to take these tears, but it was definitely amazing. Like, wow, like that have impact like most people don't have impact in their own communities. Most people don't, I know plenty of guys that live in New York, but they live in one part of New York, but they've never ever been outside of that part of New York, nor have they ever made impact. So you're telling me this kid in South Carolina, again, in the forgotten place, that still has content or whatever, that's not even a week out, that are being loved by those guys and watched and studied and inspired by, like, inspiration for those guys. Like, oh man, that was insane. So hopefully, that was a moment in time for sure.
Nah, bro, there's a lot about your story that connects so much with mine, bro. Like, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I didn't know it was this deep, to be honest.
Wow.
I really just thought it was more of like, oh, is a drummer that is
Yes.
also a videographer,
Yes.
right? I'm like, oh yeah, that's a similarity
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like, I didn't even know it was this deep, bro. Like, this is what an interview.
Wow.
Jesus Christ,
Oh,
bro.
thank
Okay. Oh my days, bro. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Okay. It's alright,
you.
bro.
No, you're
Let's
good,
do it.
bro. This is blessing me as much as it is you, brother. Thank you.
Oh my days, bro. Thank you so much for
Of
that.
course.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about your live recordings. Like, you've been a part of loads of albums, brother. From Travis Green to
Yes.
Delaney, Joe Barnes, I mean,
Yes.
Elevation Worship, and even the recent one with Roosevelt.
Yes.
Like, bro, that's crazy. And you are someone that, I've been on both ends of the spectrum.
Yes.
But really, in terms of like working with these musicians and all that, like, what do you believe have opened the doors for you for, those opportunities, really? What do you think is the most important factor that consistently gets those opportunities open?
Yes. I think we talked about it. We hinted earlier about just identity, right? Like, I've been able to, again, I'm not trying to be like anyone else. I feel like I've developed my sound and my brand into something that people that they see themselves like, oh, we want Tony a part of this project. So I think early on, identifying my brand, my sound. I think another thing is just practically, like, I'm very when it comes to live recordings, I'm very professional in the sense of I'm showing up to do a job. I'm going to do it well, but also, like, I'm going to know your material and my material. Like, I'm very aware of, like, taking advantage of the moment and being intentional enough to steward that, in the sense of, like, being detailed with assignments and being detailed on patterns. And these are all things I learned. Shout out to Travis and Forest City, man. We did 4 records. I did 4 with them, and it's been amazing. But that was honestly like the stepping stones to walk into that moment, to whereas now I can, walk into different spaces. There's different just lessons I've learned as far as dynamics and understanding what it means to be a leader, right? Like, even down to, like, I don't know if some drummers know this, but you're actually a leader. You're actually when you're in that space, in that seat, you are actually curating the environment. You are the one pushing the atmosphere. Without the drums, it can't go but so far. But when the drums are in the mix, you are, of course, there's a musical director, but you yourself are a leader. And I think there's a lot of people that I've been able to work with. They trust me to lead in those spaces well, because, and then also there's also the note of, like, with drums and with live recording, it's the one instrument that you can't overdub. Like, you can't, like, re-record your part after the fact. Like, that's a fun fact with a lot of these recordings, that you'll be able to go back. Piano players will be able to recut their parts, guitar, bass. But drums is because it's live mics, there's crowds, there's interaction. So it's like there's a lot of elements with drums that don't allow you to recut. So there's also that pressure of, like, we got to get this take right. And so just being, I think, even down to, like, when I prep for these sessions, even the week of, I'm doing the same chops, I'm doing the same setups, the same time every time we go through the song. So there's never the night of, I'm never guessing. I'm not, like, I'm able to literally be able to turn my brain off, right? In the sense of, like, I'm confident in my parts. I'm confident that I've done the work to prepare. Like, I wish I could show you, like, literally, I'll give you an example. I did a recording last year in May for this artist. His name is, I just lost his name. Dwayne. That's his name. Jesus, forgive me. His name's Dwayne Crocker. We did a recording in Florida, and this was probably the most stressful recording I've had, because there was usually with the record, you have a week to prep to the night of, right? There's been some recordings where we prep for a day, then we record, then prep for a day, and then record. So this depends on the environment. This one was, we record the day we get into town. So it was like, we got the material maybe a week or 2 prior. I spent maybe a day or 2 learning all the material at my own studio, kind of practicing on a pad or whatever, taking notes, like a plethora of notes. You would have thought I was a jazz musician. Like my whole laptop was filled. Every song was like exactly what I was doing. Even the night of the recording, I'm not kidding. The night of recording, it looks like I'm sight reading because I'm literally looking at my laptop to figure out where. Because there was no preparation. Oh, brother, no preparation at all. So I literally we get there Monday. We record Monday night. We had enough time, 2-3 hours to sound check, to get our ears lined up, run through a few songs, and then we were in the red. I mean, once those days happen quick. And so, but I think one of the things that stand out for me, that even from that recording, that speaks on my record and speaks on who I am, like my preparation, like in my preparation is unmatched. Like I take it, like we talked about earlier, I'm screen recording stuff like that, prepared me for that moment, because I'm screen recording their tour, and I'm practicing on my own time and making parts and charting down, understanding the details of that stuff. And I apply that same discipline in live recording space, to where it's like, yeah, man, we can't mess up. Like, and so that's why if you notice, there's a circuit of a few drummers that do live recordings. If it's the Calvin Rogers, Lacey's, the JRs, I don't want to even throw myself in there, but you can. But there's just a circuit of guys that, like, we understand what it takes to make a record. We understand what it takes dynamically. Even like beyond just even being a drummer, like we're all like, there's a good bit of us that like sit in the producer chair. Like we're thinking long play. We're thinking beyond just my gift or my instrument, but the guys around me, the song itself, how we serving the song, how's it looking visually, how we producing this on the back end, like how's this going to look when we drop it into a session and we play back, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that there's different frames and perspectives that I have going into these recordings that not most have. And so that's allowed me to kind of be, I guess, a commodity in the space and be trusted by these artists and these collectives to serve their music well, man. So yeah, man, it's super. Yeah. That's, hopefully that answered it, but definitely preparation for sure.
Yes, sir. Definitely, that it does. It does answer it. Like, and I was gonna say, like, just a few things that I would love to reiterate on what you said. Being very intentional, being very detailed, and you also being a leader that is willing to really serve the music, and not just, yourself as a drummer, like serve the music in general, which sort of like brings the music to life, helps you to connect with it a lot more, and helps you think beyond yourself as well, really, right? And these are gems, bro. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. Come on.
And in terms of your preparation, right? Like, like are there tips, like, or a step-by-step process that you can share with me, or for anyone listening, and also myself as well, that we can take on?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that we talked about earlier is like, be an aggressive note taker. I'm constantly, if I showed you my notes, I'm constantly figuring out verse 1, what am I playing? How's my kicks like going? How am I building? What's this chorus going to feel like? Like down to swells here, diamond hits here, builds here, this pattern here. I'm aggressive note taker. I think that's the first thing, is like, be as prepared as possible. Like, don't show up. I think a lot of times we show up to different environments, whether it's church on Sunday or rehearsal, and we think that's the time to rehearse. But it's like, no, the time to rehearse was at home. The time to rehearse when we had the music, when we could prepare. So that way, when we get into the space, we're not hindering back others that may have prepared. We're not hindering back the holistic recording, the holistic Sunday, or the preparation for the worship set or whatever. So I think that intentionality to take time to actually prepare before the rehearsal, so that when we get to the week of, we know the songs. We just got to figure out how this works in our space and how we can collaborate and build this sound together. But it's less of like, hey, can you do this cymbal hit here that was already in the demo or was already in the song that we've already sent out? You know what I mean? Like those things. It's more like, okay, how do we flow in this moment when we're just being spontaneous? Like, how are we able to build? Now we're talking through things that we can control in that week of. So I think that's the biggest, like, a couple steps of like, do the due diligence to prepare before you get to the thing. And then once we're in the space too, like, be able to also just be aware of your surroundings, in the sense of like, I'm always, my ears are always being aware of like what's happening around me. Like if it's, if we're doing a recording Roosevelt, if it's like I'm hearing Sam play a line or a medley, like I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna either give space to that or catch that line that he's trying to do, or if it's Eli who's playing bass, if he's dropping out at a certain moment or he's establishing something, I'm gonna make sure that my kick pattern matches that. Or if it's Roosevelt, if he's leading something in the atmosphere, if he's putting something bold or a declaration out, how can I actually match that energy to what he's saying too as well? So I think just even when we get to the seat, right, the awareness of what's going on around us, less of like, I'm just going to be in my world and that's it. No, there's a lot of moments, or down to like, what's the crowd doing? How they're reacting? How can I charge the faith? Or if it's pastor that's preaching, like, how can I be able to boost what's going on in the room? And so, yeah, I think awareness is a big factor for sure when we get into those spaces. So I think the biggest thing, I think the two tips I would give too is just like aggressive note taking, preparation even before we get to the thing, and then also being able to be aware of your surroundings, like I said, down to what's going on around you, even down to dynamics. If I'm playing too loud, if I'm playing too soft, like those different things affect holistically what's going on in the room. So hopefully that would be some good tips.
Yes sir, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And as I said earlier, you are not just a drummer, you are also an exceptional creative director.
I appreciate it, man.
Exceptional. But I really want to know, like, why did you expand beyond just drums? Like, why? Why did you? What was the reason for that?
I think one of the reasons what we talked about earlier was like it was one of the ways that I was not be able to put my drumming gift as the conduit of success, right? In the sense of like identifying this is who I am. I think learning a different skill trade, shout out to my leaders that was around me at the time, was like, hey bro, you're more just a drummer. Like you're actually a leader. You're actually like, you have this creative thing. Like it's just untapped potential. And so literally early on during the pandemic, like my leaders, they put a camera in my hand and was like, hey, we want you to start shooting this content. We actually want you to start editing the footage that we're capturing. Because at the time during the pandemic, all of us was doing some type of like home virtual worship service. And so every week we would record kind of like a mini live recording, if you want to say, but we would record every week. And my job was to produce and edit that in like a Final Cut or a DaVinci Resolve, like a software, editing software, and edit it and put it out. And that was the thing that we would broadcast to our country and then to different countries around the world, honestly, to not only in the States, but in Africa and in Zimbabwe and Kenya. So it was crazy. And so literally every year the Lord kind of gave me stepping stones towards the year after that. He trusted me to hold the camera. But the cool thing about that was, the videographer quit and they were like, hey, Tony, you got to shoot, these videos now for the church. But the cool thing is that I had a year of editing to where I understood what I liked with the shoot and what I did it, what things that I liked, caption videos, what I did, because I would have to edit and be like, oh, I hate how they shot this, or I love how they shot this. So now I had that perspective moving in. I just needed to get the reps holding the camera. And so that was a whole year journey of just learning how to work a camera. And then the next year after that, we got into our building at Forward. And so now we were tasked, like, our pastor was like, hey, we want to drop some music. We want to drop some, that would be Tent Revival and all the different albums, Strike the Ground and all those albums that we did. Blind Love was another one. The New Year's project too. So, but that was the year, like, okay, let's do 3 albums in a year. That 2022 to 2023, we did 3 albums in a year. And so now my job was to produce these live productions. So now I'm like, okay, now I can take what I learned from the 2 years prior when I was editing, and now be holding the camera. Now I can actually teach and lead other people and the volunteers that we had to tell them, hey, this is how I want this produced and how this shot, and putting together shot lists and stuff like that. And so I feel like the Lord, like, every year gave me a new challenge to embrace. And I feel like more and more it allowed me to be able to not place my identity in a drum and just being a drummer, and even not even place my identity in being a videographer. Like, I can be able to thrive in different spaces. I think the story in the Bible, how like the servant, like, the master gave the servant multiple talents, and like, what did you do with those talents? Like, they talked about how one of them buried all the talents and one of them actually used them. And it was like, what are you using with the talents? Like, the Lord didn't just call you to be a drummer. He called you for multiple things, but how are you actually stewarding these things? Are you just only saying you're a drummer and that's it? But like, are you gifted to be in this area? Are you gifted to be, whatever? And so I think that was early on, that's what kind of helped me break the mold and break the box of just being a musician, but rather a creative in a space, and be able to pour into others. And honestly, that's really my goal and my brand. Like, I want to inspire others to not just be a one-trick pony. I know that sounds funny, but that's what my dad used to say. Like, don't be a one-trick pony. Don't just do one thing, but like, God gives you other talents, and it's up to us to steward that. He's not going to, like you talked about, like, I didn't, God created the opportunity, but I had to show up and still do the work. I had to show up and prepare. And there's other things that God is asking us to and calling us to, but we're not either we're too scared to walk into that, or we're too prideful to even say, what does this look like to step down in the season, right? Step down to pick up something else. But really that step down was really an elevation, because now that means the Lord can trust you because you're actually being obedient to the thing that he called you to. And now we look back, and the very thing that I wish I was, the very thing that I thought I aspired to be like, right? Like going to Berkeley College of Music, and I was going to go in this route. And then that's how I was going to get the music scene. Was like, well, now I'm 25 and I've filled up my passport twice. You know what I mean? Like I've done everything that I have to dream bigger now, because it's based off the fact that I trust him in a season where it didn't make sense, where I was in a forgotten place. And now the very thing I've been practicing all my life for, to be a musician and a drummer, now I'm quote unquote stepping down to just be a videographer or creative in this space. But little did I know there was so much lessons, and there was so much things behind the scenes that the Lord was protecting me from this industry, and just different things that come along with being in the space, that had I not had that perspective, or had I not been humble enough to learn this different gifting, I would have never known these different things. And again, like, I'm grateful for this gift, because it calls me into different spaces that I would have had no idea. Here I am in a writing camp with Transformation Worship, just doing video, and now I'm talking to Pastor Mike about drum patterns for one of their songs, and now I'm in the room where Roosevelt's writing one of the songs that we actually recorded a few weeks ago with him. But I was just serving as a videographer, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? And there's so much that can be said. Like, there's opportunities that come. There's have been so many opportunities that just came from me holding a camera, or just me holding a pair of drumsticks. And now that led to like, hey, Tony, why don't you go film this content for us? Or why don't you do da-da-da-da-da? And all that, man. So it kind of all works within each other. But that's kind of what's helped me, allow me even early on to kind of separate just, being a drummer, but pick up another gift. And there's so much that now that helps even what I do in the work product, and how I run a business, even how I show up on my Instagram and my brand. Like, it's just all lessons, like we talked about earlier. It's all lessons that I've learned from the journey, the David type journey that I've been on. I've learned so much that I've been able to apply even now, to whereas when I do the content that I do, when I show up for these different gigs or live recordings or these different tours or whatever, I'm not trying to have to conjure up, but let me get ready for this moment. I've been prepping for all these years. I've been shooting announcement videos when no one cared about them. I was shooting, these live recordings or whatever. But now it's like I'm just applying those same skills, tools, and skill sets into what I'm doing now. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. But that's kind of like a snippet of where.
Yes, sir. Answer this question. Answer the next question as well. So yes,
cool.
You're really
2 for
good.
1. Okay, let's go.
You're really good.
Oh, let's go.
You said something when you were answering this question about being too scared. And I really want to ask this question, because I remember when I was going to start out videography as well. It felt like I was turning between two creative worlds, and it took two of my very elderly friends, like mentors, to talk me through what would probably be the benefits of having both skills, and how that can help with my creativity and all that stuff. But really, did you ever feel like that same tension, felt like you were turning between two creative worlds, or did you just always see it as an extension? Because also, bear in mind, you've also got this heart of service as well. So I really want to hear from your perspective.
Yeah, I think early on there was a turmoil, right? Because I still wasn't settled in the fact of who God called me as a son. I was still wrestling with the putting my identity as a drummer, and putting my identity as I will only see a type of success from this one gifting. And I think the moment I was able to trust God into like, okay, Lord, I trust you. Even though this makes no sense, I'm going to lean into this video camera thing that you're telling me to. I'm going to lean into just shooting announcement videos and pre-show videos for church when this makes no sense, Lord. You show me exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think the moment I was able to release that tension and release that expectation that I put on myself, that God didn't put on me, I put on myself, I feel like I had the freedom to like, oh man, to see the beauty of living in both spaces and what context those both frame of minds literally, give me. Like, had I not released that, release that perspective, I wouldn't be able to walk into, I use an example like Roosevelt, because that's just more recent, like a Roosevelt recording. And what most people will come to find out, and some people don't realize, is that I also produced all the videos for the recording. So, I produced the teams that ran it that week. I produce how it was shot, what cameras we use. I'm currently editing the project as we speak. Helping with the marketing rollout. I was able to bring friends like my friend, his name's Shaquem Poole. He's played for Tasha. He's another drummer creative friend like myself, and you know what I mean. So I'm able to bring those guys along and help give vision for how they be able to bring value in the space. But I would have never been able to even serve in that capacity and be the quote unquote unicorn in this space had I just been like, I'm just a drummer. And I'm just gonna only be that. I'm tired of being a there's so much beauty in working in different spaces. Again, you just look back to David. I mean, he went from a shepherd boy to a musician to a warrior to king. There's so many roles and different qualifications and different things that he had to go through that created him into being king. He has so many skill sets. He was a genius by all accounts. I mean, he wrote. I mean, wrote a book of songs, or song of songs, like, you know what I mean? Like, so he was a talented musician, artist, you know what I mean? Shepherd, but like there's all these different things. And I feel like a lot of people like just get caught up in just being the shepherd boy. And it's like, man, there's so many things, there's so many blessings, there's so much value that you can bring in different spaces to other people, and show up to be the full authentic self that God has called you to. But people just kind of sleep on those things, or maybe it's too prideful, or too, they're not humble enough to say, hey man, God, if you call me to the season, I'm going to serve it well. So yeah, man, that's my truth, bro. Had I not embraced it, I'm not doing what I'm doing now. I'm not able to do a recording next week, for this artist in Florida play drums, and then next week I'm shooting content for Israel. You know what I mean? Like you don't get those if I'm just only stuck in one lane.
Thank you. And I wanted to ask before we move on to the next section, which is I wanted to know like who has inspired you the most, like in your creative language. That's both with music and videography.
Yeah.
Like, and what exactly inspired you about them?
I think I can name a few. I'm not sure I know this guy named Dinar Young. He's worked also with Trav for many years too. But one of my favorite creatives as a whole. He's taught me a lot of how to think outside the box and to push your vision and to maximize on the things that you don't necessarily have. He's an amazing, also singer. He also, again, he sings, amazing vocalist by all accounts, amazing. A lot of BGV work, a lot of things that's in a lot of CCM gospel space. He's been producing those things for those artists. If it's Todd Galbraith, Trav, if it's whoever, Naomi, like he is the beast. Tasha, I mean, whether if it's him serving creatively or musically or even both, he's one of the guys I've seen early on that's thrived in both spaces. That's been amazing too. Another guy as well, I can't leave this guy. His name is Matthew Edwards. A lot of what I do today is because of him. Because of his work ethic. He's the one that actually brought me into his house when we went in pandemic and taught me about everything that I do now, from a musicality standpoint, how I approach music, how I even edit videos and shoot content, all different things. I literally was just on the phone with him earlier today, just talking and just catching up. And so he's a guy that's taught me, literally, without him, he's one of the guys that I would not be. I don't think I would be as far as I am now without his guidance, his wisdom, and just him providing a space for me to grow. So that's another guy as well. I think if we talk about maybe music, probably more music standpoint, I probably would mention like two. I mentioned two creative music guys. I mentioned two kind of music solely guys that's jumping into creative. But like J.R. Nelson's another one of those guys, man, which kind of made our record a few weeks ago full circle, because what most people don't know is a few years ago, I was just kind of getting on to scene with Pastor Travis in the church and stuff like that. And so we were doing a recording during pandemic, and the MD was like, yeah, Tony, you're not really cutting it. Like, you're kind of missing certain things, and we kind of got to get this done and recorded. So they ended up bringing JR the day of. I think they brought him the day before, the day of, or whatever. And I had to pick him up from the airport. So imagine me picking up my replacement from the airport. That the very thing I was like, this is my moment. I'm about to have it. And it was like, nope.
Oh my God.
But I'm gonna tell you what. Like, I'm gonna tell you what. There's voice memos on this phone. Literally, picking them up in the car, and I'm asking him, hey, bro, how do you approach this? Why do you build like this? How come you do this? Like, I was also a student. Like, I knew the records that he's done. So I'm asking him questions about those records. What was your thought process of this? And he provided so much. I mean, open book tests, so much context about the Travis Green gig specifically, and that sound and that space, to where we passed that gig down to me. He trusted me enough to do that gig. Moving forward, when he started doing some more stuff with Chandler Moore and some stuff with One House, and he was killing it as well over there in those spaces. And so I think that's an inspiration for me, because he taught me early on how to develop my sound the way that I am now. And so it made a full
Yeah.
circle moment to kind of look to my left, and here I am sharing the stage with this dude and creating moments that's gonna, live for a lifetime. So definitely
Oh,
big ups to JR, man. I think I have a sneaky suspicion he may be on a interview podcast. So I don't know, I'm not gonna give too much, but he may be. He could maybe tell his perspective of the story.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
he may do that.
yeah. So between that and that, I'll probably say more. Lastly, like a musician, I have to say CJ Thompson, man. He is amazing. He's actually in the same area as I am. I've been watching him for years now, and more recently, man, he's kind of opened the book for me. He showed me a lot about his thought process and how he approaches different live recordings, how he approaches these tours. More recently, with these tier 1 artists traveling around the world, and just his sound, the way his attention to detail, the triggers, all the things that make up his sound. He's been super just an open book for me as well. Just taught me a lot. He even sent me some stuff behind the scenes and like in real time. And bro, amazing human, amazing individual, and someone that I've loved for years now. But more recently is definitely, as far as the technicality of playing drums and this, that, and there, he's been a gem. So those are 4. I know maybe I was only supposed to name a couple, but I gave you 4. So those are some amazing guys.
Yes,
for
sure. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing, bro. Yes, sir. Going on into the systems around how you stay consistent, and not just even stay consistent, because from touring to playing drums to gigs, church music, covers, albums, and all that stuff, and even videography. These are all different areas that you find it very difficult to find someone that excel in all of them, really. And so that makes you an exception. And I just really want to know, like, what are the systems or mindset that allow you to sustain that level of excellence without burning out?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is preparation. We've been hitting on this all episode, but I think that's the biggest thing. I think when I prepare well, I show up well. And then that stress or that kind of burnout, I feel like comes from just lack of preparation, lack of intentionality to be ready for the moment. And I think when you get into the moment, when you're ready, it's easy. Like, I'm not thinking about when I'm doing a tour or when I'm doing a show or when I'm doing a live recording. I'm not stressing about it because I'm confident in the fact that I prepared all week for this moment. I'm confident in the weeks before that moment. I've prepared and I've studied and I've taken my notes and I've been able to do everything I can, control what I can control to make sure that I'll be able to deliver a great output. And so, and just even behind the scenes, like even down to preparation, like researching different things. And like, if we want to talk about cameras, there's times I've spent hours researching how to color grade and what camera should I use or why should I use this or what's the settings that I should use. So that way, when I get to the gig or when I get to the moment, I'm not, freezing up. I'm able to show up for the artist or for my client and deliver well, because it's just I think, man, the system that I built, honestly, is preparation, man. That's just shouts to Matt, man. I just saw how he prepared in the past and in our season of life and our walk of life, to where it's like he was always prepared. He always did the work, stayed up late. It didn't matter what it was, but like he was going to show up confident in what he was going to do, confident in the work he was about to put, the lecture, the meeting, whatever it was, he was going to be prepared. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I want anyone to take away, is that it's what God's doing in my life. It's amazing, and I'm grateful for every moment. But it also just comes to just preparation, man. I've been working for years when no one cared, when no one was looking for me, when no one had any idea who I was. I was still at this desk, at my drums, and wherever I was in life, like still just grinding, still like just going ahead and keep chipping away. And so I think that's the biggest system that I have, is that to even prevent burnout. It's like, when you prepare better, I'm not going to be burned out because I already prepared and I showed up to where I'm not stressed, because a lot of burnout comes from the stress of the moment. It comes from the stress of all of the different things at play. But when I've learned to just control what I can control. I can't control everything. I can't control how something happens in the moment, but I can control my response to the situation, how I show up in a situation. And when I wrap up at the end of the day, I know I did well. And so, that's my biggest admonishment to whoever's watching, man, is that show up well, but prepare, man. Prepare. I can't say it enough, brother. It has saved me so much heartache, headache, all the different things, because I've shown up. I've been disciplined to show up when it didn't make sense, when it didn't look right. But like all of it, man, it all plays a part into what I'm doing now. So, yeah.
And that's an attribute that I feel like we, all just need to take on really, because yeah, I I mean, this is one thing that's helped you, in the midst of all of this craft that you have, and being able to stay excellent in all of them is the fact that you stay prepared
Yes, sir.
for the moment, and that reduces the stress of burnout. Really.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing again, bro. Thank you.
Of course. Of course.
Yes, sir. So, and you have been very clear from the start of this interview about your faith, right? And I just really want to know, like, how has your faith influenced your journey? Like, what impact has it had on your journey, your creativity, your work, your music?
Yeah, I think this whole episode has kind of been a testament of my faith, man, of just like the Lord guiding me through all of this, man. Like I don't put any bit of my journey as a I did this. It's honestly I feel like how the Lord's guided me through this journey at every point, at every stop and turn, I have to give God glory because I know it wasn't by my own work. There's no way I myself in the platform that or whatever type of at that moment in time could have been able to make that call that build that trust with that artist or that person to be able to be on this platform.
Yeah.
It's nothing but the Lord, man. I think that's been my admonishment. I hope it's a big takeaway for whoever's watching, man. Like just keep your faith, stay strong in the Lord, man. Like he has been such a keeper, man, and it has taught me so much, even in the people and the mentors I've had around me. It's just been so much grace and favor because of him, man. And that is why I'm going to shout his name, any interview, any conversation I'm gonna have, because it has truly been him.
Sir.
That literally I went to a forgotten place in Columbia, South Carolina, and yet I'm now being able to serve different ministries and different tours and artists around the world, all from Columbia, South Carolina. Like who would have thought? Not Atlanta, not LA, not Las Vegas or New York or wherever the hubs are, or abroad. Like I'm able to serve the way that I am, and the Lord's trust me in these spaces, and it's all because of him, man. So yeah, I feel like I feel like I've hinted at in the episode, but honestly, man, it's been a big part of who I am as a person and how I show up for others, man. Yeah.
All glory to God as well. Yes, sir. Yeah, keep your faith. Keep your faith, man. Like the presence of God. I mean, I was having a conversation with a friend earlier in the week or earlier in the month, really, about the fact that the gifts that we have. I mean, let me just ask you this: have you ever been in a situation where you've tried so hard to get something, you've worked so hard for it, but it just didn't come through?
Yeah, I think there have been plenty of moments in my life where I've tried to work for something so hard that I was able to get to that moment.
Yeah.
And I think that was all rooted in me trying to conjure up a thing and me trying to like in my own works and not entrusting the Lord to trust his steps and trust the journey and the path that he's on to me. Like I mentioned there earlier in the beginning of the episode, to like trust wherever the Lord has you in the season and serve that well. I think a lot of times the Lord gives us an instruction or puts us in a place and we don't embrace that season for what it is. We don't embrace that. Maybe the Lord is actually trying to challenge us to do better in a certain area, actually challenging us to grow in another area, but we're fighting the growth. We're fighting the thing. And what we don't realize, the Lord's not going to take us out of that season until we actually learn the lesson, until we actually prepared for the moment that he's trying to take us. And I feel like there's plenty of times where I've tried to, I'm gonna figure this out. And it's like the Lord every time is like, nope. I'm intentionally closing this door because I'm preparing you for a moment that you're not ready for right now. Because if I give you to the thing like a good father's not going to give, if he has a 4-year-old, he's not going to give the keys to his car to a 4-year-old. There's a reason why he has to be of age to get a license to drive, because there's so much nuances with driving a car that you wouldn't give. You basically suicide. You're killing your kid. Basically, you literally condemn him to death by giving him something that he's not ready for. And so I think that's the very thing that there's been times in my life where I've tried to force a moment or a thing to happen, and the Lord's been intentional, like, yeah, you're not ready for that, and I'm gonna keep this door closed. And it wasn't until I actually embraced the season for what it was that the Lord opened the door. And when that door happened, it was easy. I didn't even have to that's how I know, like when I've faithfully served in a season and I've actually done well in a season, to where it's like, okay, Lord, you want me to just be a videographer or whatever, that wherever he was requiring me of that season, the moment doors began to happen, it was not by my own doing. I didn't have to try at all. It just showed up to me. I didn't have to
Yeah.
put a resume out or a post or like, hey, now hiring for gigs or what, none of it, or try to DM the right people to then rub the shows that hopefully I get it. Man, stuff has come across my door even today of just like opportunities or whatever, and it's not because of my works or me trying, but I feel like the Lord is like He trusts me in the place that I am. I'm prepared for the moment, like we talked about earlier, and now the door.
Yeah.
I'm not even opening the doors. It's like it's just coming all at once. And so I think that's a true indicator of like just really be intentional about embracing the season that God's called you to. If it's taking, if it's you preparing for drums in the season, or if the Lord's requiring something else for you to be like myself, like He wants me to hold the camera, or He wants me to learn how to market or run social media or whatever that is. Or there's been some seasons where He wanted me to just show it to be a better son to my mom, or you know what I mean, to be a better, you know what I mean, like show it to be I want to be the best version of myself for my mom and for my dad. It was times like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna go home for this. I've been, like last year I was in the midst of all the travels that I was doing, I was home at least once a month, which is a big deal for me because years prior I wasn't home. I probably would show up maybe once a year, if that. Call them maybe once every other week, and now I call them every day, check it on my sister and all the different things. And so, like I said, there could be different things that's not just gig related or career oriented, that maybe things that He wants you to focus in at home or focus in internally that is going to prepare you for your next. So yeah, man, embrace that season. It may suck. Trust, I'm in a similar season even right now of figuring things out too, in a sense of like personal stuff in my life and relationships and all those different things. But I'm trusting the Lord, like, okay, Lord, you have me in the season for a reason, even though I'm trying to make things happen. I'm trying to hit up this person or whatever. Like, okay, Lord, let me embrace what's the inner work that you want to do in me. That way I can be ready for what you have for me. So yeah.
Sure. If this was the last piece of advice that you were going to give to a young creative that is inspired by your journey, what would that advice be?
I think the advice would be, and I feel like I've been saying it all episode too, so hopefully I don't sound like this, I'm saying the same thing over and over. But man, I think I would say embrace the season, man. Like I feel like there's so many people that are literally hitting their heads against the wall and trying to break through a ceiling that they're not ready for. And I think the Lord in His sovereignty, in His protection, He's preparing you for a season, but He's preparing you by holding you back. Hey man, you got to grow in certain areas. Like I don't want you to get hurt in the season. I don't want you to lose your soul. I don't want you to lose everything who you thought you was if I give you this opportunity too soon, because I'm so glad the Lord didn't give me the opportunities I have now, because not only I wouldn't have been prepared physically for it, mentally for it, had the skill set, but even emotionally. I'm like, I probably would have put that, you know what I mean? If I would have lost a gig tomorrow, that doesn't faze me, but it would have 5 years ago. If I would have lost this job or career or this client or whatever, or this relationship, it would affect me substantially 5 years ago, but no, not now, because I've been able to root myself in what God has called me to, in who He calls me to as a son. And so I think that's the biggest thing, man. It's so easy to get caught up in your gifting and the things that you do in social media, and like, if I don't put this post down, then I'm nothing, or if I don't do this. I think my biggest thing, man, is like embrace the season, embrace what God's calling you to. And I'm telling you, if He's doing it for me, man, there's nothing special about what I do. Nothing. Hear me when I say this. There's nothing special of who I am. There are plenty of the drummers, creators, producers that can outwork, that can outperform, out talent me, all the things like that. But it was the consistency and the trust in God, to trust what He has for me, to where it's like, you know what, every opportunity I have now, it's all in purpose, it's all in line. And I'm not having to strive for these things or trying to conjure up these things, but I'm able to just trust the Lord, and boom, I'm just walking in ease. I'm not having to try to, and like, I don't know if you ever seen that analogy of like this person like carrying all this weight and baggage. Like I'm not carrying none of that, because I've been able to release some of those things. I've been able to give those things back to God, and be able to now serve a season with my full capacity, my full 100%. So I think that's the biggest thing, man. Don't get caught up in what the social media hype is, and what the next trick to get viral is, and the next chop that will go crazy. Like, bro, serve the season well, show up the best version that you can, and embrace it. And I'm telling you, you'll look up and you'll be walking in the very thing that you've been praying for. And that's all I've been doing the last year, honestly. I'm just walking. I'm living the very thing that the Lord. It just shows up, and it's like I can't even, it's like, it's just favor. Honestly, I can't even pinpoint to. It's nothing that I've been doing, but it was honestly the Lord trusting. I understand that now He could trust me in the thing. Like, it's one thing, my pastor said one time. It's one thing to be loved, right? Like, we're all loved by God. It's another thing to be used by God, right? There's plenty of people in the Bible that's been used by God, but it's another thing to be trusted by God, and that's the sweet spot. Like, when He can trust you with the big thing, like, He can give you the opportunity, and you'll say no because it's not a God thing. Like that, those things. But like, there's other people that have been used by God, but that that fell out of the will of God, or even if we use David, I mean, he got caught up in his own success that he was willing to literally kill another man's wife just to be with that woman and have a kid out of wedlock. Like, there's so many things that he fell out the grace of God. But that's, what I mean? So, but it was not only till he went back to God and repent that it was like, okay, Lord, that the Lord can still trust him, and that there was still a Solomon that came after him and whatnot. And so, I mean, there's plenty of times where like guys has been used by God, and there's people that's loved by God, but man, to be trusted by Him is something that I'm grateful to be in, and I want to continue to strive it in my actions and my language and the things that I do. I want to be trusted by God. I don't want to be used by God. That's cool, man. But when you're trusted God, that means, okay, Lord, He trusts you enough to like, okay, I'm in a season, I'm gonna serve it well. If it's me holding the camera, shooting announcements, then that's what I'm gonna do. If it's me showing up at the church early in the hours of the day, or late, or being first one in, last one out, then that's what I'm gonna do. If it's me serving this vision of what God's called me to, like serving another person's vision, even though what God's called me to has been one thing, but I'm still head down and focus on it. But it's all stepping stones. It's all seeds that you're putting in the ground. I'm telling you, all I've been doing the last 5 years, 6 years, working with Pastor Travis, working at Ford City, I just been sowing seeds, man. Literally been sowing seeds. If it's for his vision, for the church, for the music, for the books, for the tours, for all the things that we did, I was just sowing good ground. And now I'm in a great space to where now I'm able to build my own business and build my own brand. And now everything that's happening, it's all just sprouting up, and I'm not having to make something up or having to connect with the people to hopefully get the gig or whatever. Like, I'm confident that the Lord is allowing these seeds to sprout because of all the years of service and all the years of just trusting Him when it didn't make sense in the forgotten place. And now I'm able to start to reap a harvest from it. So that would be my encouragement, man. Honestly, I know I've been sounding like just a record player this whole time, just playing the same thing over and over again, or saying the same thing. But that's just my truth, man, and I can't shake it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, brother.
Bro, thank you, man.
We're at the end of the interview right now, and I've got one question to ask you before we go into the thing we do every episode.
Yeah.
One question: if you could play the Super Bowl with one artist, who would it be and why?
Oh, that's so tough. I'm gonna try to pick one that hasn't done a Super Bowl yet. I'll probably try to pick one that hasn't done one, because it'll be easy to pick one that's. I mean, if it was someone that's already just been happening, I would love to have been there with Michael Jackson, because it was the first one ever, and I'm also just a Michael Jackson fan, and just the way.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of principles. Some of y'all have to go back. There's a documentary on it's this platform called Showtime, I believe, and it's like the 40th anniversary of Thriller, of that album. And I encourage anybody to watch it, because there's a lot of faith. There's a lot of things, practical biblical principles that Michael Jackson himself applied in his life. And the things that we don't realize, that there's principles, like God's principles are His principles. They're not respected towards men. We read that about God is not respected of a man, a person, or whatever. And if you apply His principles, it's going to reap a harvest. And that's just what it is. And I'm telling you, there's so many things of what Michael Jackson has done. He's literally write it on the tablet of your heart. That's Proverbs. Like, trust in the Lord all your heart.
Oh, yes, sir.
He's everything that he's done. I'm going to be the king of pop. I'm going to reach this milestone. He has it written in red ink. There's so many practical things. So I'm nerding out over Michael Jackson. So all I say is check that out if you do. But if there was one that already has happened, it would probably be Michael Jackson. Just because that was the first ever Super Bowl. The history, that was the first ever Super Bowl halftime show that ever happened, and he was the one that did it. And I mean, just the creative direction, just him popping up in different parts of the stadium, him just standing for 2 minutes and the whole room is going crazy. Like, just 2 minutes of him just straight aura. Like, oh my gosh, Nerd out all day.
Or a family, bro.
All day. Sorry, you could tell I'm a nerd, guys. I'm a nerd. So I would say Michael for sure. Michael for sure. If that was the one that's already happened. If it's one that has not happened, that I would love the opportunity to do. Honestly, man, would be. Oh man, I'm not. It would probably have to be like a artist like, it'd probably be like an artist like Chris Brown. To be honest with you, like a Chris Brown, maybe a
That's
Justin
solid.
Bieber. Just because of just their catalogs, the music, the impact of culture that they had, and even the guys that play those gigs, those are like I'm also fans of those guys. If it's CJ Thompson, Stickstown,
Yeah.
I'm fans of those guys. So I would just love to see that even happen, even if I didn't even play it. But man, if I got to play a tambourine or something, or play some bongos or something, man, I would love to with one of those. It would probably have to be maybe Bieber,
God,
or maybe Chris Brown for sure. Definitely, I think
Yeah.
those are like a couple that I can like think of off the top of my head right now. It would probably be a couple that, yeah, that would be crazy if that happened. Or even I even say Dua Lipa. That's another one too. Dua Lipa, she's one of my favorite pop artists of all time.
Yeah.
She's up there. Like her, man, she has a catalog too. So those are, I know you said one. I gave you really four. So
Four, actually. Yeah.
Sorry, I can't. It's hard to. It's
But-
asking a musician
No,
what their
it's
favorite
crazy,
guy is,
man.
or their it's so creative. Anybody, it's like we give you three answers. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And I also feel like genuinely, I feel like this is gonna happen soon.
Yes, sir.
Like I feel like you're gonna be on a Super Bowl stage soon, and when it does happen, I'm gonna clip this video and just post it as a show.
Oh man, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, we talked about it on your interview. I'm gonna literally tear up. It's gonna be crazy. Yeah, bro. Oh my goodness.
So we have a closing tradition on this show. It's where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest.
Okay.
And the question that was left for you is, growing up as a musician, what have you done wrongly that if you were to be rebirthed, you would do the right way?
What have I done wrong that I would do? Let's see. That's a good question. It's tough because I feel like we kind of hinted at it earlier. It's really nothing I feel like I've done wrong in a sense.
Yeah.
I think there's really nothing. I don't feel like there's anything wrong that I did. I think maybe just like I think maybe one. I say maybe like one approach I would say that I learned. It wasn't necessarily wrong, but I think just being able to think outside of just myself, right? If selfishly, of like a lot of times we're building our gift and we're learning these things. It's so easy to like just only focus on yourself, but like there's, again, we talked about earlier, there's such a bigger play that's happening, whether if you're serving at your local church on a Sunday, or you're playing this gig, or if it's a live recording, or if it's bigger things. There's other elements, if it's production, if it's music, keys, bass, singers, BGVs, the crowd, whoever. And so I think the awareness, being able to be aware of what's going on in my surroundings a lot more, less of like just being selfish enough, like only worried about my parts and worried about what's going on here, but being able to contribute in a space like that. So I think just awareness, it's not necessarily wrong, but I think I wasn't as aware as I am now of what's going on. Like there's times I was watching videos of myself and I'm like, I'm not paying attention to nothing that's going on. I'm just literally just thinking about myself, and not that was bad, but in the greater thing, in the greater scope of things, I think I would have wished just a little more awareness, but nothing necessarily wrong. But just that's something that I learned in recent years that's kind of helped develop my way of thinking when it comes to drums and all things. So
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Great answer, bro.
Okay.
And in that same spirit, what question would you like to leave for the next guest?
Okay, what question?
Without knowing who it is, though.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
What question would leave for the next? Let's see. I probably would ask what would be like. Hopefully, that's a good question, but I think that's something I would like to leave for the next guest. To be amazing for them to answer.
Oof.
And that's a little deep. Sorry.
That's a lot of question, bro. Oh my days, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And also, thank you so much, brother, for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
It means so much to me. And as I said, it's actually crazy because I didn't think, I could connect so much to your story. I didn't think there was more to connect with. That I thought it was just, you know, the similarities with the videography, but, you know, saying being in a forgotten place, and, you know, the consistency and how God just showed up in those seasons in your life.
Yes.
To remind you that He's not forgotten you, bro. Like, yeah. I mean, this interview is not for me, but yeah, I'm just really seeing the similarities, and I'm like, wow, God, thank you, Jesus, bro. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so grateful. And yes, guys, we've got a shed coming up. We have a shed coming up, and I really can't wait to show you guys. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you, Tony, again, for coming on the show. And yes, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Thank you so much for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you learned something from the conversation. As we said, we have a shed coming up. The shed is an original song titled In My Feelings, and it is one of the songs on the album that I plan to drop later on in the year, which is called So It Begins. Coupled with the shed, we're also going to be giving out an Audio-Technica ATH M20X headphone to one person. The shed and the giveaway is going to be dropping in 2 weeks' time. I really can't wait for you guys to hear it, but, you know, we're trying to build some anticipation for the drop, because it's also going to be an original song from the album. So yeah, please bear with us. And yeah, thank you so much for being a part of this. Thank you so much for your constant support. Really, you guys make this successful by watching and engaging with this, and I am genuinely grateful. Thank you so much. Remember, Jesus loves you, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.